Self-storage is one of the greatest investments to make a solid passive income. However, getting started can be overwhelming. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I've learned from opening 6 self-storage sites and give you a complete step-by-step guide on how I would open one if I had to start over. Step number 1. The self-storage killer. And honestly, it really is a killer. This is by far and away the most important step. Get this wrong and even I can't help you. God, I sound like a right do saying that. In my 14 years in self-storage, I've only ever seen one site struggle. Just one. And guess what? It wasn't because the owners were lazy or because they didn't try hard enough or even because they didn't have enough cash. It was simply because they picked the wrong site in the wrong location. That's it. That's absolutely the one mistake that you can't come back from, no matter how hard you work. So here's the magic rule to help you pick the best location so you don't fall foul of the self-storage killer. You need to work out how many people in a given area could become self-storage customers. Don't worry, this isn't guesswork. There's a specific calculation behind it. My clients would actually kill me if I give away the full calculation in this video, but here's the short version. We look at the population and divide it by the amount of self-storage currently available in a particular radius to your location. If it's under our magic number, it's a go. Then after we know that, it's a simple yes, it'll work, or no, it won't. This task will protect you from picking the wrong location in the wrong area. Nailing this will mean you can do almost everything else wrong and still make good money from self-storage. I think that's a pretty good position to be in. But how do we know if there's a demand in a certain location? I'm glad you asked, because step number 2, we are going to cover that. Step number 2, one of the most successful openings of the 6 sites was my Mansfield site. We sold over 12,000 square foot of self-storage in the first 3 months of opening. And for those of you who don't know self-storage, that is an awful lot of square footage. But why did our Mansfield site become such a home run? Simple. We knew there was demand before we opened. A cheat code. Here's exactly how we did it, and you can too for little or no money. We did this in 3 ways, and the great thing is, like I say, these don't have to cost you the air. They don't have to cost you money. Way number 1, become a secret shopper. What does that even mean? Well, I rang every self-storage business in the area, pretending to be a customer. It was music to my ears when they came back to me and said, sorry, the site is totally full. And others were charging sky-high prices because they were nearly full. The thing is, with self-storage, the fuller you are, the more you can charge. So full sites and high prices are a huge green flag for demand. So that's way number 1. Way number 2, the fake ad test. Before we put pen to paper, we put ads on Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree. If people start messaging you from these ads, asking for prices and availability, guess what? You know there is real demand. If you hear nothing, it could be a warning sign. Way number 3, Google search the demand. What does that even mean? Well, we go to this website, keywordseverywhere.com. Keywordseverywhere.com. It's nearly free. It's about £7 a month. So I think there may be a free version as well. What we do is we type in your location plus self-storage, like i.e. self-storage Wrexham or Wrexham self-storage, and we see how many people are searching Google every single month. The bigger the town, the more searches you would want to see. It really is as simple as that. If you see the searches, then you know there's demand. If you do these 3 checks, then you are already above 95% of people who open a self-storage facility. If you want to be ahead of 100% of people, then I have a free training. The link is below. Did you see what I did there? A sneaky little plug. So you have the location and you know there are customers. So where do you get these containers from? Again, I'm glad you asked, because step number 3, we are going to cover how to actually afford the containers without it costing a fortune up front. You're probably thinking, but Dean, I'll need tens and tens of thousands of pounds to buy the containers. Don't worry, I used to think that too, but you don't. And here's why. I remember my business mentor saying to me, Dean, you are waiting months to save up for the containers. You've got customers waiting now. Why are you doing that? He asked me, have you ever thought about using debt? Like most people, I really hated the idea of being in debt, and I explained this to my mentor. But he explained something I'd never really considered. Containers are assets. When you finance an asset, the loan is backed by the container itself, not by you. Worst case, you just give the container back. That's it. That's what he said to me. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm interested. Because the finance is backed by the asset, i.e. the container, the rates are really low because there's little or no risk at all to the lender. The finance is actually backed by the container itself. Honestly, this one conversation changed everything for me and my mind was completely blown. I remember working it out and thinking I could get a container on finance for just £12 a week, about £1.70 a day. That is less than a Starbucks. I can't lie, when I figured all this out, I was really, really, really mad at myself. I wondered where I would be now if I knew this information sooner. But I guess you don't know what you don't know, so I had to stop beating myself up. So, what are you waiting for? When you find the right site, don't wait. Use asset finance and get those containers actually working for you. So how do we actually do this, and how do we actually buy the containers? Where do we buy them from? How do we get the asset finance? We use a company called securestores.co.uk. A great girl called Sarah runs this company. You get the containers through her and she sorts out the asset finance as well for you. You can literally thank me later. But you're probably thinking now, Dean, this sounds amazing, but I don't want a second job. I just don't have the time to run a business on top of my job. Don't worry. In the next step, I'll show you how to use technology to make it as passive as humanly possible. The next step is number 4, and this is technology. Let me tell you about a client of mine, a guy who barely ever speaks to his customers, yet runs a thriving self-storage business. In fact, he's only ever met 5% of his customers. So 95% of his customers he's never even met. It sounds like a dream, right? So what's the secret sauce behind a hands-off self-storage business? It's simply technology. But back when I started 14 years ago, everything, and I mean everything, was manual. I actually started with a pen and paper and a spreadsheet. I'd made every customer in person, hand over keys, collect signatures, take payments, and meet them again when they was leaving just to get the keys off them. It was a slow and painful and time-consuming process. But now, oh man, it's all changed. The self-storage game is so much easier. Here's how you can set your business up to run smoothly with minimum effort. Use self-storage software like Stora. And by the way, it's not a paid ad. It should be, by the way. So Stora, if you're listening, get in contact. Stora gives you a custom website, lets customers book and pay online and even move in. You don't have to lift a finger or pick up the phone. And the software is way more affordable than you would ever imagine. There are some other great options as well as Stora, but the point is, let the software do the heavy lifting for you. Step number 2, automate site access. Most self-storage sites have a gate. We install a PIN code access system to the gate. Customers get a unique code automatically sent to them from the software. they can then come and go as they please. You can track exactly when they come and leave for added security. We use a company called PTI, but there are plenty, and I mean plenty, of choices out there, and most of them integrate seamlessly with your self-storage software. To put it into perspective, 5 out of my 6 sites are manless, meaning they run without anybody physically being present in the day-to-day running of the site. Every new site I open from now on will be the same. That's the power of technology. It's here right now and ready to use. We might as well utilize it. But just so we're completely honest and clear with each other, I don't want to mislead anybody in any way, being manless doesn't mean zero work. It's what I call semi-passive. You still have to put in some hours, but technology massively helps cut down your workload. That's it. That's the 4-step process I would take to open a new site. Now, if you're curious how much a self-storage site actually makes, click the next video, because I'm going to break down the actual income from my Beverley container site. And a little humble brag, we actually won the container site of the year with the Beverley site as well. So it's a humble brag, but yeah, I'm very proud of this site. It was my first ever site. It's only small, but it does some incredible numbers. So click that link next. I love you all, appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll speak to you soon.